All right, let's dive right into this. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're doing something really cool. We are cracking the secret code that moves literally millions of dollars and millions of tons of cargo across our bright, sunlit oceans every single day. Seriously, if you've ever looked at the physical stuff around you and wondered how it actually gets from point A to B, well, you are in the exact right place. Imagine intercepting this cryptic transmission. I mean, it looks like absolute gibberish, right? Just a random, messy string of capital letters, abbreviations, and numbers. But to a shipping insider, this isn't a typo. This is a highly precise, multi-million-dollar contract. Every single character you see here has been intensely negotiated. Which brings us to a pretty incredible question. Could you really move 28,000 tons of wheat across the entire world with just one sentence? The answer is absolutely yes. By the end of this explainer, you're going to be able to read this secret industry shorthand like you're looking at the Matrix. You'll unlock the hidden mechanics of how these massive ships supply our world, turning what looks like a random password into a vibrant cinematic story of global logistics. The beauty of this code is just how elegantly simple it is once you actually have the key. Let's break the cipher on that first vessel, the MV Soldraite. See that cryptic USG/WCI? That just means the ship is traveling from the US Gulf to the west coast of India. DC 24/31 establishes the exact tight window the ship has to be ready, and that $42.50 is the freight rate per ton. So this single line dictates that the charterer, Bunge, is paying that exact rate to load golden wheat in the US Gulf and discharge it at 1,500 tons a day in India. Literally one sentence, putting millions of dollars in motion. And this brilliantly illustrates the foundation. You really need to master this code. You first have to understand the two main vehicles of ocean freight. First up is the voyage charter. Think of this kind of like paying for a taxi ride. You're paying a specific rate to get your cargo from point A to point B. Contrast that with the time charter, which is way more like renting a car by the day. You pay a daily rate to use the entire ship for a set period of time, and you can take it pretty much wherever you want. Section 1. The voyage charter. Paying for the trip. Let's take a look at one of these massive ocean taxi rides in action, where the charterer is paying purely for the cargo moved. I want you to picture the sheer cinematic scale of this operation. Imagine the massive hull of the MV Iapetus cutting through the bright, sunlit waters of the Atlantic. This absolute beast is contracted to haul an epic 100,000 tons of coal. It's moving from Hampton Roads over to Dunkirk, and the charterer, Bottomar, is paying a very precise freight rate of $7.75 per ton. They are paying exclusively for the safe delivery of that specific cargo. Now, the absolutely crucial point here is timing. This ship operates on an incredibly tight, high-pressure timeline known in the biz as lay-days. Basically, the vessel has to present itself, fully ready to load that coal, starting January 1st. But if it arrives after the absolute cancellation date of January 6th, the charterer can completely rip up that multi-million-dollar contract. It's a high-stakes race across the ocean where being just one day late can literally cost a fortune. Section 2. The time charter. Renting the ship. Let's flip the script and see what exactly happens when companies pay for these massive vessels by the day. The financial scale here is honestly staggering. For example, in one of our source fixtures, the MV Atticos was rented out at $7,250 a day for a trip delivering in the US Gulf and redelivering between Gibraltar and Hamburg. But get this. To even get the deal done in the first place, the charterer, Armada, had to pay a massive $180,000 ballast bonus. That's a lump sum paid just to position the empty ship in the right location to start the rental. It really highlights the sheer capital required just to move these empty steel giants around the board. Or consider the MV Rider. This one is a container ship with a 14,900-ton deadweight capacity, capable of holding 412 TEUs. You know, those standard 20-foot containers you always see on the highway? The charterer here, Ambermar, scooped the ship up at the tip of Denmark for a cool $5,500 a day for 6 straight months, with an option for 6 more. For that daily rate, Ambermar gets total control over the Rider's voyages. They are essentially holding the keys to the rental car. Section 3. The million-dollar details. While the huge tonnages and those big daily rates are super flashy, the true secret of this industry lies in the fine print. It's the tiny acronyms hidden in the code that can literally shift millions of dollars in expenses from one party to another. Take the term FIO, which stands for free in and out. What this means in practice is that when those giant, brightly lit port cranes are loading 35,000 tons of bright yellow sulfur onto the MV Trade Vision in Vancouver, the ship owner isn't paying a dime for that labor. Nope, the charterer is footing the entire loading bill and the discharge bill in Casablanca too. So in shipping code, free actually means the ship owner is free of the expense. And in this business, time is quite literally money. You'll see SHINK, Sundays and holidays included. That means the clock keeps ticking and the heavy machinery keeps loading cargo right on through the weekend. But on the flip side, SHX, Sundays and holidays excluded, means the charterer gets a free pause on those days. The counting of their allowed loading time just stops, giving them some much-needed breathing room to load without facing heavy financial penalties. Let's actually apply that to the real world with the MV Perrine. This vessel is hauling a massive 100,000 tons of coal. According to the contract, they only have exactly 6 days total to both load the cargo in Hampton Roads and discharge it in Yamutin. Thankfully for the charterer, those 6 days are SHEX, excluding Sundays and holidays. But even with that pause, moving 100,000 tons of rock in less than a week, that makes every single hour a high-stakes race against some massive delay penalties. Section 4. Reading the Matrix. Okay, you've cracked the cipher. You know your time charters from your voyage charters, your shank from your sheks. Now let's put your new skills to the test and read the raw, fast-paced Code of Global Trade together. Check out the fixture for the Sugar Ray. Instantly, this text speaks to us. We know it's moving 15,000 tons of heavy grains, soybeans, or sorghums, that's the HSS, from Wisconsin to Glasgow at a freight rate of $28 a ton. But look closely at the middle of the text. Opt Belfast/Leith, $28.50. That gives the charterer a really clever, built-in option to dynamically redirect the ship to Belfast or Leith for just 50 cents more per ton. Brilliant, right? Now, let's look at the Seabony. Here, we're looking at a massive 45,000 tons of grain rushing from the east coast of the U.S. to the Italy-Adriatic range. See that PPT in there? That means prompt, meaning this cargo requires immediate, urgent loading. And they have a strict 14-day turnaround window to get it loaded and discharged, all for $16.50 a ton. And finally, the TriStar Queen. This one is a time charter trip. The 36,000 deadweight ton bulk carrier is delivering to the charterer, Samsung, on the west coast of India in mid-January. It's going to be blazing across the ocean at 13 knots via South Africa and redelivering back to its owners in the Far East after a 45-day journey. You can practically picture that entire majestic route just from this one single line of text. So there you have it. You can now officially read the invisible matrix of the global economy. You've seen exactly how billions of dollars of wheat, coal, and consumer goods are coordinated through a language designed for pure, high-stakes efficiency. So, I'll leave you with this provocative thought. The next time you buy a loaf of bread, fill your car with gas, or order a package online, what hidden, single-sentence contract moved it across those bright blue oceans to get to your door? What other cryptic secrets are hidden in plain sight, just waiting to be decoded? Keep looking, keep learning, and thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.